Hey everyone, welcome back. So I hope everyone had a great week. It's Friday, obviously. Sorry for the late post. Been doing a lot of research today on the miners that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So this is why it's kind of late. But we'll take a look at miners, markets, Ethereum, as well as Bitcoin, see how they did. Miners here. We'll also take a look at Core Scientific bankruptcy possibility with Celsius not paying bills. We'll take a look at a story about that. That's obviously not good news for Core. We'll also take a look at what I've been working on today, which is 1-year dilution shares per petahash comparisons. We'll take a look at all the miners, see where their shares were basically out in the market a year ago, back towards the end of June. And then we'll take a look at where they are right now, do a comparison to see how much they diluted and see how much they've grown in that same period, and do a comparison who's done the best job as far as the less dilution but the most growth. So that's coming up here. And as always, not financial advice. You guys know the drill here. I'm invested in 5 coins and companies. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. Spent a couple hours today getting all this data for you guys, so I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, let's get into the markets here really quick. The markets were up today. There we go. The markets were up actually today. So S&P 500 was up 2.37% to 3752. Dow Jones Industrial was up 2.47% to 31,082. NASDAQ was up 2.39% to 11,310. Bitcoin was up a little bit today, was up 0.65% on the day, up to 19,166. So it bounced off a little bit. Obviously had a low today of 18,659. Right now the RSI is still looking, well, we're kind of going sideways here, and we can see here that the price has been going kind of sideways as well a little bit. There's not much change on it. So we'll have to see obviously what happens here on the daily chart, on the 1-hour chart. We can see here that the RSI has been coming down a little bit while the price has been pretty much flat. So we'll have to keep an eye on it, see what happens here. We're obviously looking for kind of a trend here to happen, whether it's bullish or bearish. Right now it's kind of neutral, so it's kind of hard to tell which way it's going to go. Ethereum was obviously up as well today. If we look at it here, it was up 1.34% to, what did it close at? 1,299. So that was pretty good. It's at 1,300 right now. And it is obviously following suit with Bitcoin as far as the RSI on the daily has been flat, while the price actually has been going down on this one if we're looking at it. So that's a little bit bearish sign. On the 1-hour chart, we can see here that the RSI has been about flat or going down a little bit while the price has been going up. So we're seeing a little bit more of a bearish sign here in Ethereum. Now, as far as the miners are concerned, the miners have been kind of mixed today. Some were up, some were down. So we'll just go through them really quick here. Annie was up. So Sphere 3D was actually up 7.91% to 43. And we do have a story on them as well that I didn't cover in the beginning, but we do have a story on them. Argo was up 6.61% to 14 cents. Bit Digital was up 6.51% to $1.05. Bitfarms was up 1.5% to 95 cents. CleanSpark was up 1.04% to $2.92. Cores was actually down 0.96% to 97 cents. DigiHost was flat at 53 cents. DMG was up 2.49% to 16, almost 17 cents. Greenedge was up 2.94% to $1.05. Hive was up 2.97% to $3.12. Hut was up quite nicely today, 5.43% to $1.94. Iris Energy was down 2.27% to $3.02. Luxfolio was down 11.2% to basically 5.5 cents roughly. Marathon was up nicely today, 7.14% to $11.70. Mawson was down 3.53% to 41 cents. Riot was up 4.48% to $5.83. SOLUNA was down 3.23% to $1.80. Stronghold was down 7.48% to 85 cents. And there's a market update. Let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick, see what's going on there, see if we're bouncing back up a little bit. And it looks like we are back up to 263 million hashes per terahashes. So that's quite a bit there. Price, as you can see here, has been steady for the last couple of weeks, months here. So that's not good news. We obviously want the price to go back up, especially since the hash rate has been going up. All right, so let's take a look at our first stories here. Let's do Celsius really quick and Core Scientific. So Celsius Network defaults on payments to Core Scientific, causing financial unrest. So this is obviously not good. And for some reason, my highlighter on this page does not want to work. I got to figure out why that is the case, but here's what we got. Some things that I can remember that I wanted to highlight here. So obviously we know Celsius has filed to Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So according to Core Scientific, or let me see here, crypto lender Celsius Networks legal journey has gained another chapter as Bitcoin miner Core Scientific accused the company of refusing to pay its bills since filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy, according to court papers filed on October 19th. So this is only 2 days ago. Core Scientific, which is one of the largest publicly traded companies, claims the default on payments is threatening its financial stability, already hurt by the crypto winter and high energy costs. That is obviously not good. We know that they have a lot of debt and everything else. So with everything that's going on with Celsius, that's not helping it either. So in court filing, Celsius alleges that Core Scientific delayed mining rig deployment and supplied them with less power than required under their contract. Celsius is reportedly seeking a court order holding Core in contempt and ordering it to fulfill its obligations. Meanwhile, Core requested the court to compel Celsius to pay past due bills or allow it to serve the contract, or sever, I guess would be, to sever the contract. And here's my take on it. If somebody's not paying you for service that you're providing them, or they're not paying, if they're not paying you to begin with, that's the same thing that I would do. Number one would be to completely shut them off. Number two would be to lower their growth. So if they're supposed to get X amount of petahash per month or whatever, until you start paying your bills, we're going to start, throttling that down. Cut it down to 10% of whatever you're supposed to get until you actually pay those bills. Because obviously you're in a business to make money, and if somebody's not paying you for it, why would you continue to do something? It's kind of like a sharp stick in the eye. The first time you do it, it's going to hurt. Why would you continue to do it continually? So I can agree with here with Core, with them possibly withholding some electricity and throttling them a little bit. So according to the bankruptcy court papers filed by Core Scientific, Celsius either needs to adhere to the contract, or Core and Celsius must terminate the relationship before Celsius causes yet another business partner to enter insolvency proceedings. Ouch. So this is a little bit of a warning here, I guess, that this is having a huge effect, obviously, on Core by Celsius not paying them what they're supposed to be paid. So as per the filing, Celsius owes $598,743.20 post-petition PPT charges related to the August 2022 invoices, plus another $1.5 million roughly for post-petition PPT charges related to September 2022 invoice, yielding a total of $2.1 million. Core continues to lose approximately $53,000 per day to cover post-petition increased electricity tariffs that Celsius refuses to pay, said the company. So I don't know how their contract was set up, but it should have been whatever the cost is plus some fees, right? If it isn't in the future, I hope it is, right? Because you just don't know where electricity prices are going to be unless you have it locked in for set amount of time, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever you have that set with the electricity provider. Otherwise, it pretty much has to be cost plus X, right? So whatever the cost is to service those miners with electricity, that's what Celsius has to pay, or anybody else that's doing hosting with them. And then they have to make on top of that X amount of percentage to make it worthwhile for them, right? Otherwise, why would you be in business if you're losing money? So that is my take on that. Let's see. The dispute between Celsius and Core is scheduled for hearing by United States bankruptcy judge Martin Glenn next month. So hopefully by that time, Core doesn't go bankrupt either. Fingers crossed on that one. Let me see here. Oh, this was interesting too. So North American and Europe's miners' profits margins are being squeezed by rising energy costs, with U.S. industrial electricity prices rising 25% from $75.2 per megawatt hour to $94.3 per megawatt hour from July 2021 to July 2022. Obviously, a pretty sizable increase there. As a result, hosting service providers are also increasing their power prices in hosting contracts, according to Hash Rate Index Q3 mining report. Well, I hope they're doing that, and I wish they would have had that in the first place if they didn't, where it's basically cost plus. Whatever it costs us to run those miners, plus on top of that, whatever our margins are, whether you have to make at least 5-10%, hopefully more than that, like 20-25% on this stuff, and then whatever's left over, obviously the hosting customer gets the rest, right? Because you got to make money, you got to pay people, you got to pay overhead, everything else, equipment, facilities, everything else. So We shall see how this was going to play out, but hopefully this will be okay for core. Right now it's a little bit troublesome, mainly because if you look at the numbers here for, let's see here, core, we can see, where's core? Core is the green one here. At the end of Q2, they had a lot of debt. Let me see here. Total liabilities was 516 million. Total liabilities was 1.4 billion. So that was not good. They were basically 917 million in the red if you take current assets minus total liabilities. So that wasn't obviously good there. So that's it for core. Let's take a look at SOLUNA Holdings. So SOLUNA Holdings Inc. announced proposed public offering of common stock. They did not, however, provide as far as how many shares they're going to be basically selling at what price and what the proceeds are going to be basically. So it's kind of up in the air right now until we find out more. So the company expects to grant the underwriter a 45-day option to purchase up to an additional 15% of the number of shares of common stock sold in this offering to cover all over allotments, if any, to the public price, less the underwriting discounts and commissions. So let me see here. SOLUNA also expects to use the net proceeds of the offering for acquisitions, development, and growth of data centers, including cryptocurrency mining processors, other computer processing equipment, data storage, electrical infrastructure, software, real estate, and business, including but not limited to its development site in Texas, and for general corporate purposes. General corporate purposes may include working capital and capital expenditures. So that's okay. And let's take a look at SOLUNA here really quick as well. SOLUNA currently has, I'm estimating, around 25.5 million shares right now. If they're looking to grow more, they do obviously have some debt here that they need to take care of. They got total liabilities of 41 million. Total current liabilities was 27 million, and total current assets as of June was 17.5 million. So they are in the hole a little bit here. And if we take current assets minus total liabilities, they're 23 million in the hole. So they got to at least take that in. So I'm guessing they're going to probably dilute by about 50 million to 100 million. I'm guessing somewhere around there, which would equate to about, if you take 100 million, that would be what, times 2. So it'd be about another 25 million shares roughly. No, right? It'd be 50 million shares. So that would get them up to 75 million shares, possibly, if that's the way they go. If they only go with 50 million shares, then you're looking at divided by 2. So that's another 25 million shares, basically dilution there. That's quite a bit, 100% dilution roughly. So we'll have to see what this all comes out as being once we find out more data on it. But it's obviously a sign that we're seeing that, either companies are using the ATM programs or they're offering shares, basically common stock, to get more cash in. And hopefully this won't last much longer, and hopefully we'll get on the other side of this bear market within the next 6 to 9 months possibly, but we'll see. Okay. Next, so let's take a look at the data that I've been pulling today, trying to go through all these miners, get all the data. So here's what we got going on, and I'll walk you guys through it. So we're looking at shareholder dilution per petahash. So what I did is I went back to basically the end of June of last year. You got it here. And then we're including, this should be actually the latest numbers that we have here. So these are, what are we in? As of 9, 10, 21, 22. Those are the latest numbers that we have for them. I figure this is going to be the easiest way because we also are using the hash rate at the end of June. No, not June. Sorry. We're using the end of September hash rate. That's been reported here. So I went through all of these. It took me a while to get all the data for all of these. I basically looked back as far as what their market cap was on June 30th of 21 and what the end of closing stock price was to get the number of shares out, basically outstanding or being traded, I guess you could say. So we're using that, and then we're using the current number, which is also doing the same thing, just taking the market cap, dividing by the number of shares to get our number of shares, or market cap divided by stock price to get our number of shares. So it's the same kind of principle here. And then we're just doing a simple math here, trying to figure out how many were added between the two periods, and we'll go through this really quick. So Argo added 145 million shares in basically a year and basically 15 months, if we're going that way, from June all the way to now. So in 15 months, they added 145 million. Dilution equals to about 38%. Bit Digital added 26 million shares. That is 52% dilution based on where they were, from 53 to 82 million. Then we got Bitfarms with 45 million. That's 30% dilution. CleanSpark at 13 million shares added. That's a 38% increase. Obviously, they didn't have too many shares to begin with. Core Scientific diluted by 41 million shares, about 13%. So that's actually pretty good. DigiHost was actually a negative, so I couldn't figure this one out, whether they bought some of the shares or took shares off the market, or if we're just really close to these two numbers. It was basically they didn't dilute at all. But this is just a number that I came up with. So this one's going to be a little bit weird on this one. Also, Core Scientific, we're going back to January 2nd, because this is when basically they went public right around that time, wasn't it? November, December of last year that they went public. So I'm using that data from that. So you guys are aware. What else do we have? DMG. DMG diluted 6.3 million shares, 4%. So that's actually pretty good. Greenidge is diluted 5.6 million shares, 15%. And that is from end of September 21, which is when they went public, I believe, or merged. Hive diluted 7.7 million shares from that time, 10%. So that's actually pretty good. Hut 8 diluted 51 million shares, 36%. And that's because they've been hodling too. And then surprisingly, Iris did not dilute at all, based on what I could come up with. And this is going back to November of last year. I think this is when they went public. And it looks like they haven't diluted any shares as of that I'm able to at least figure out. There might be some dilution, but it's very minimal. And that's basically 0%. So that's fantastic there. Marathon diluted 17.3 million shares, 17% in 15 months. Mawson, 26 million shares, 48%. And back to Marathon here. Marathon has been also hodling a lot, so I'm surprised that they've only diluted this much. So that's actually pretty good. Riot, 71 million shares, so that's 74%. That's quite a bit. I think that is one of the highest ones, followed by possibly Soluna here. Soluna also had 12 million there, up to 25 million. So that's 12.8 million shares diluted in 15 months. That's 101% basically in that time frame. And Sphere 3D, I'm not including Sphere 3D pretty much in this. They started mining this year, beginning of January. They're still at 100 petahash. There's not much change to it. So maybe later on, and next year we'll do this Sphere 3D as well to see where they were at this time around. And next year we'll see where they are. So based on the dilution, we can see here dilution-wise, if we do it ascending, DigiHost obviously is the weird one here. Iris, the least amount, 0%. DMG, 4%. Hive, 10. Core, 13. Greenidge, 15. Marathon, 17. And then obviously the worst ones was Soluna and Riot here with 74 on that. Let's go back to the way we had it. Now, as far as petahash, this is what they added. So Argo added 1.4 exahash in 15 months. BitDigital added 790. Bitfarms 2.78 exahash. CleanSpark 3.3 exahash. Core Scientific 5.5. And this is obviously from January. So they've added a lot this year. DigiHost was 347 petahash. DMG 451 petahash. Greenidge was 1.2 exahash. Hive was 1.2. Hut 8. And Greenidge was from September of last year. Hut 8 was 1.8 roughly. Iris 2 exahash. Marathon 1.6. Mawson 1.4. Riot 3.2. Soluna 456 petahash. And Sphere basically didn't add anything because they were at 100, at the beginning of the year. So there's 0 there for them. And if we look at it, obviously, by who added the most, let's do this really quick. We can see here Core, followed by CleanSpark, by then Riot, Bitfarms, and Iris added the most. And then as far as when we look at shares per petahash, let's do that descending, actually. Ascending. Okay, so we got DigiHost. Obviously, that's the weird one here. That's kind of out of the... I'll see if I can figure this out, why this is coming up that way. But it is what it is right now. Iris, obviously, number 1, 0 shares diluted per petahash, and they grew 2 exahash. So that's fantastic. And I've talked about Iris before. I think they're a great run, very well-run company. And it's one of those miners that I want to get into eventually once I dollar cost average and my CleanSpark and Bitfarms down to 10 to 20%. Hopefully that won't take too much longer. But that's the next one I kind of want to get into. Followed by, obviously, I've got CleanSpark. Greenidge is basically, CleanSpark is 3,916 shares per petahash dilution. So that's pretty good. That's very low. Greenidge was 4,701. Hive was 6,397. And surprisingly, Core was only 7,000. Followed by Marathon at 10,000 shares per petahash. So DMG was 13,000. Bitfarms was 16,000. Mawson 18,000. Riot was 22. SOLUNA was 28. HUT was 28. Bit Digital was 35. Argo was 101,000 shares per petahash. So that's quite a lot there that they diluted. But that's based on they had a lot of shares to begin with, so that that works kind of to your disadvantage if you have a lot of shares, because if you have a lot of shares out, your stock price is going to be way down there. So when you dilute, you have to dilute more shares, unfortunately. So that worked towards their disadvantage there. And let me see here. So yeah, obviously the best ones: Iris, CleanSpark, Greenedge, Hive, and I think it goes for pretty much the way I've been saying that. I think pretty much Marathon, Riot. Riot's down there quite a bit though, but for the most part, Marathon, Riot, CleanSpark, Iris Energy, Bitfarms are kind of like my top 5 that I'm looking at. Core obviously is a great one, but man, they got a lot of debt, and that is very worrisome. And I think that's why the stock has been behaving the way it has, is because of the debt that they do have. And, it's just investors are worried. And they have every right to be worried, especially now that we're hearing with Celsius not paying their bills, causing them financial harm possibly, and eventually leading to bankruptcy, which isn't good. So this is it. That's all I wanted to show you guys. Hopefully you guys like this. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Spreadsheets available to my Patreon members as always. Thank you to everyone there for their continued support. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all. Have a great night. Let me know what you guys thought of this, if this was interesting or not. But I'll see you guys probably in tomorrow's video. All right. Have a great night. Bye.